You're tuning in to CraigCast, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technology. Great reviews, incredible interviews with the leading people in Web3. I'm your host, CraigO. Join me on my live stream as we go across multiple platforms, talking to some of the best people in the space. I've done well over 100 episodes, full-length podcasts gone live on multiple channels. All that to be said, CraigCast helps my community to plot, plan, strategize, and implement their next moves. I describe myself as 25% DJ. The other 75% is really steadfast to make sure that I understand the long-term implications of this space. I want to bring information to you. We might not happen to the same NFT community, but we are all here, and the bigger bet is on crypto overall. How will blockchain affect a world that will be fully tokenized in the next 10 to 15 years? Where will quantum computing be? How will AI, as it's already been a disruptor, how will that impact us over the next 5 to 10 years? So everything that we do on this stream is long-term in mind. I'm your host, CraigO. Let's get to it. Hey everyone, welcome back to CraigCast. I'm your host, and today, actually tonight, depending on where you're watching from, I'm really excited to be joined by Beniamin Mincu, CEO and co-founder of Multiverse X. We're going to be talking about blockchain infrastructure, scalability, AI, Supernova, and where Multiverse X is headed this year in 2026. If you're tuning live on X, YouTube, Twitch, and you like what you're hearing, please retweet, comment, share, engage, and drop your thoughts below in the chat. We want to hear from you. GM, Benny, how are you doing?
Great to be here, Craig. It's a good start of the year. Difficult, crazy, wild in many ways, but it's really great to be here and have this conversation.
Absolutely. You know, last time we spoke, we were talking about, and I went back and I watched our video. And one of the things that it drew me back to was about the communication between the core team, the community, the developers, the builders, the EGLD holders. How have you seen that improve, and what improvements are still in place this year to really make that come together much more?
I mean, there's always lots of things to improve and make progress on. But I think there's a few things that have changed maybe in the last period. One, markets have been absolutely brutal for not only crypto people, but equities, commodities, everything else that's been happening has been insane in some sense. So I think in that respect, people are now either coming back to crypto or switching from crypto, because it's really taking a lot of stomach and presence to survive, navigate these difficult waters and so on. And on our end, I think we've done a really good job at focusing the conversation on some of the things that really matter and add meaningful value to the community. And then also stepping back when we see that signal is not there, when we see that we need to recharge or make some really important progress or punches on the different products that we're building. But yeah, I hope this gets across, and we certainly had some really important milestones this last few days that we've shared with the community.
Speaking about some of the platforms and protocols, one of the things that really gets me very excited, and maybe I want to remove the word bullish, is as I want to talk about XPortal and how it guides users to a deeper exploration of the Multiverse X ecosystem. I've been playing around with it a lot leading up to our conversation tonight. And I have to tell you, the usability, how it's almost like the UX experience is just absolutely phenomenal. It's on a whole nother level. And I know that my assets are safe there, and I can actually put my EGLD to work. Talk to me a little bit about XPortal and how you find that to be such a value to bring new users into the ecosystem.
Sure. I think XPortal is still one of the most beautiful and safest wallets in the world that exists today. Not only making the first step for people that want to join in any way crypto, very simple and very actionable, but then also protecting them. The fact that if you look at XPortal and you're not a crypto person, or you are a crypto person, You just need to know that XPortal is probably the simplest experience you get in crypto. It's the safest because it has an on-chain 2FA activated there. And now it has more opportunities, more alpha than ever. In the meantime, we have perps that are integrated in XPortal. We actually launched something that very few people, I think, have discovered for now, pre-IPO stocks. Something like SpaceX and Anthropic and OpenAI and so on. And those are just the things that we're adding on top of the layer where you simply can use XPortal for anything related to payments, cards, storing your money, or putting your money to work. So I think it has improved in many, many ways. And we've gotten a lot of very good positive feedback on this. And in fact, we're also preparing something really cool that I think will be a bit of an alpha and surprise for people, because it will add some cool utility and alpha further in XPortal.
There's a lot of really cool things that I've been able to do over the past few weeks as I've been scaling up my EGLD position. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But what I find really cool is that I can put my money to use and I can put my head on my pillow and not worry at night. Now, for those that don't know what Supernova is, I want to give sort of maybe if you can give a quick mini overview, and then what still needs to happen before launch. So if I say to you, what is Supernova? How do you define it to someone that's just hearing this right now for the first time?
So Supernova is probably the best upgrade that we have since the launch of this network. Since Elrond Genesis, we've been adding a lot of things. Supernova is the best upgrade. Why? Because it makes things instant. So any type of interaction, you'll just experience it in a way that almost feels magical. And then the underlying technology that makes this possible requires some important breakthroughs that have been baked in and cooked for the last year or so. And we're so close to this that actually every day, wherever I am in the world, first thing as I wake up, I just ping the guys to see how things are going, what has happened, is there a way to accelerate or unlock things? And I think right now we're at the point where this is a bit of an alpha. The conversation is very close to the milestone where we're taking it outside for everyone to try to take it down, for the battle of nodes to begin.
Yep.
Yeah, with that experience, I think blockchain becomes so good that it can be invisible and used in the back. You don't need to care about what technology it is, who's building it, and so on.
It's interesting to me because, Benny, I can't imagine that things are much faster than what I'm experiencing now. It far surpasses any other blockchain, and this is not like personal attack. Again, I play on all the blockchains. I'm a fair, equal opportunity content creator, so I like to talk to everybody. But the security, the speed, the scalability. When does Supernova launch for those that are listening in right now that have their XPortal, that have their EGLD, that are staking? When is that going to happen?
So it's probably during the next few weeks. I expect that as we start Battle of Nodes is this competition where we bring in the validators, the people that are technical and so on, and try to take the network down, try to harden it, to strengthen it. And then beyond that point, the big launch is coming. So we're super, super excited about that because it just changes everything for the network.
No, I don't add. This next question. It's not a price-based question, but I was talking to my dear friend Barely Profit, and he said something to me that rings true as to why I'm in the ecosystem, why I'm incredibly excited about the technology, the ease of use. He said, this is a bet on time. This is not a bet on price. This is not about a number go up. We've already seen a high number up, and we will probably at some point in the future continue to see that number rise when you have incredible tech. And it relates back to your back banner. Do you know what the back of your banner says on your X page?
Back over, I'm
your
not
banner.
sure. Right? Yeah.
It says build
different. Yes.
Build different. And that to me is something interesting because Vitalik, who is of Ethereum, he said the quiet part out loud. I keep hearing that one. He said the L2s basically are just not cutting it. And I don't know how word verbatim, but that brings me to this question. What does owning one EGLD represent today? What does it actually mean? And I'm not speaking about the number.
Mm-hmm. I think with Supernova, people will have probably one of the most advanced, high performance, state-of-the-art networks in the world working. And that's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is that if on this network that works so well, you essentially onboard agentic economies, then you will be able to look at EGLD as the currency for AI, accessing the currency, using it in every possible way. I think crypto will merge with AI and become the enabler for the agentic economy. I think almost everything else disappears, which might be a bit shocking for people to hear, but AI and agents will literally eat the entire software layer, and blockchains will be the substrate on which agents actually operate, coordinate, identify, and so on. And crypto, as in EGLD, will be the currency for this type of agentic interaction.
And funny that you speak of that, because there was a big announcement that you guys made concerning Google. Care to share and elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes. So we've actually...
Oh, what just happened?
Whoa.
Oh, hold on. Oh, there we go. Benny, you there? Go ahead.
Yes.
We've
actually shared 3 really big announcements during the last 1 week or so. One was we've announced the integration of the largest payment protocol created by Coinbase and Circle, and that was X402. X402 is now compatible and fully integrated with Multiverse X, and that's really awesome because it enables agentic payments. Now, the second big announcement we've made was integrating UCP. And UCP is Universal Commerce Protocol. And this is a special new protocol that Google only unveiled something like 3 weeks ago. And now we've integrated that as well, specifically to be able to be used with EGLD and with the network. And today, we've actually announced ACP, which is Agentic Commerce Protocol, which is created by OpenAI and Stripe, so that we have these 3 giants with their standards connected to Multiverse X and having this technology live. This is really, really cool to have it live, and could not be more excited about this.
That builds to the overall ethos, because you truly are building different. And when you're building different, you don't have everybody's used to this hype cycle and all that they're focused on sometimes. And again, everybody wants their bags to go up and wants the value of what they invest in. We just saw our market, the silver, the metals market completely manipulated, which is a whole other conversation. And so people want to know that whatever they're putting their money into, that they're getting value. And I think the value's here because you're building a very solid foundation. I want to go over to a little bit with you concerning social currency and how we rally the troops. We've got a lot of avid holders, the number of DMs, the messages, the engagement of, hey, it's great. I'm super excited you're going to have Benny on. How do we get more people involved to actually appreciate and value this technology when substandard L1s that are out there that don't really function on the whole trilemma? That's the scalability, that's the decentralization, and that is the speed, if I have that correct. That to me is most important. How do we rally up the troops around social currency, bringing in everybody, getting more holders involved, getting them active on the XPortal app?
I mean, on the one hand, it's doing this type of announcements doing this type of progress milestones that we just share with the community. We've always pushed for things like this, and we've taken a lot of time to actually get some of these milestones done, because we truly believe these milestones actually change the value of the entire network, change the value of EGLD. Why? Because it's very simple. In this case, if you can use the agents with this network and with EGLD, then of course EGLD is significantly more valuable. And this is how we do that. In addition to that, of course, we want to share the type of products with people, such as XPortal and the Multiverse X network and so on, that really get people excited, that give them a magic moment, such that when they experience that, they can see the care, they can see the focus, they can see the love that has been put in this type of products. And of course, this, I should say, almost first and last, we should always have more conversations like the one I'm having right now with you. So very happy to do this, to have it. And I'm also encouraging every one of the people that are still there, that are pushing. We see the cool messages. We see the notes that they're spreading with their friends and so on. We also see that some trolls and some haters have died, as they always switch with the new cycles and so on. But at the end of the day, we strive very hard, even during the most difficult of times, with markets shifting brutally and so on, to make progress and share it with the people. And we hope that this goes across, lands, and then as people see this, they just look at things as they are, and then take this message and spread it with some of their friends. And this is how the message gets across, brings other people in, and we make progress.
Speaking of meaningful dialogue as well, and it's great, again, to have you on tonight. I watched the conversation with DB Crypto today and your brother, Lucian. That was an incredible conversation. Where do you see, if there was a primary strategic focus, and I know it's a broadband, but for the next 6 to 12 months, what is Benny most focused on right now concerning MVX? What is the core focus?
I think two conversations are happening for me daily. One, just pushing AI as hard as possible inside the teams and on the network and the protocol in every form possible. So getting the integrations, getting the people to play with the tools, getting agents sort of on the network, and that I cannot have enough. Maybe we'll at the end even do a few predictions around how things might change on this front. Yeah. And then second, it's just discussions on integrations, use cases, business deals, and integrations, which are crucial to open up new doors and new opportunities and so on for the ecosystem, and to grab a piece of the pie from the world and create new pies. That's my focus right now, and I expect during the next period, it will probably, as we scale with AI and integrate more of AI in everything we're doing, it should almost be 90% getting deals, business done for the network. That's what I care about most.
Peeling back that question a little bit, because I love that the big focus is going to be about AI. And I'm going to go on use an example. I'm on my XPortal app, and I can go right over. And I love going on to Export. There are a couple other protocols that I like going into that I'm playing around and actually putting some liquidity in, and really excited. Again, everybody's got to take their journey. But here's the question to you. Do you feel that you're going to introduce AI integration on there for users to play around with? And if so, just a sneak preview, what could that look like? Could it be a lending protocol? Could it be a perps? Where do you think we might see AI show up within the app?
Yeah, so I think every possible application will have AI.
Okay.
And specifically, if I think about XPortal, one way of looking at it is it would be cool to have some version of assistant with which you speak about what you care. Suppose you care about saving some more money or making some more money or just putting your money to work in a different way. If you sort of get a tailored, simple experience that helps you navigate this even nicer than it is right now, or surfacing some news or some things that you love, you just enjoy the experience even more. So I think if you think about super wealthy people and the services that they have and pay a lot for, ideally, that's the thing that we want to share with people through XPortal. So
Go
that's
ahead.
what we're working toward.
You know, when I think about the AI agent, it's kind of interesting because it's talking about executing of trades and this and that. And I'm wondering, will people have safety rails in place so that they don't go off the bridge? Because I think we got ahead of ourselves
Sure.
when website development came out. Do you find that just as you're developing this technology that you're keeping in mind, we have these devices called smartphones. The reason that they're smart is because we can do some really dumb stuff. Are there some guidelines in place that you're taking into account with this development?
Yes, indeed. I think this is the main reason why most of the things are not live yet, because we can rush and put something live and everyone just jumps off a cliff. But as you've noticed, in XPortal, we have both great opportunities that you can use and so on, but then also features that sort of give you protection, give you awareness, tell you a few times, like, are you sure you want to do this? Do you understand that this makes this and this and this happen? And I think with AI, it's also a process, right? The idea is we don't want to flood you and overwhelm you with all the different possible things you can do. We actually want to make your experience simpler, nicer, cooler. And maybe a first version of that is getting information. If you could get some information about market insights, how things move, if they're looking interesting and so on, that would be going in the direction that we always cared about, which is first helping you educate yourself, helping you think about what you're trying to do with your future, with your money. And then once you have some ideas, guiding you with some type of robo trading that essentially does not, let's say, again, overwhelm you, but offers something simple that you can choose and maybe reinforces the best of standards, whether that's some DCA that the robo trader, your assistant, helps you with, whether that it's some investment, whether it's staking or something else. The point is you can have a user experience that's both simple, has the best of the user in mind, but then also gives you some new opportunity to learn, to test, and explore some new things.
How do you define, if we're coming on December 31st, 2026, I call you and say, hey, Benny, it was a great year. How do you define success for MVX at the end of the year? What would that conversation look like?
This is a very good question. I would say that one good way I would look at this is we've onboarded AI fully on Multiverse X, and whether it's through the applications, the contracts, everything that we've built, Supernova is used majority almost by agents. Of course, humans that prompt the agents to do different things. But then in addition to that, another metric would be looking at revenue that the network captures, value that is created by the network, liquidity that exists in the network, and of course that resulting into price. Because I do think that value at some point is captured into price. Now, this is of course no investment advice and so on, but I do believe that as you bring in AI, as activity scales and use cases are there, value is created and captured. There's a very simple logical next step, which is at some point this is captured by EGLD, and repriced completely based on the value that you've created and captured.
Now, when we talked in August till now, we probably saw about a 68% decline in price. That didn't affect my bullish sentiment because I knew from the back end, from all the research that I had done, watching all the videos, interviews, shout out to DB again, it was very clear to me that when you build and you're really focused, it's going to be boring. You're going to hear the naysayers out there being like, "Oh, you're losing ground, you're losing ground." And really it's people didn't, sometimes fit themselves into their positions. And sometimes truly they were excited and they threw all their, all their money in it at one particular moment. And it's a tough thing to digest. You hold, it's a hodl mentality. But at the end of the day, if you're not interacting and engaging with the platform and you're not staking and you're not contributing to protocols, it can be a challenge. And I've seen it for myself, by the way. How is Multiverse X positioning itself, pick the words out of my mouth, in the United States as the regulatory clarity continues to evolve? And the reason I ask you that is I did a prediction video, Benny. And I said, I had a couple predictions. One is that silver will go to 200. Gold will go to 6,000. And I was like, we were right there last week. And then Friday comes and boom, I was wrong. But I don't think I'm wrong. I think I still got the whole year to go. And I also said the Bitcoin would retrace between 50 to 70,000. We're about 73. So we'll see if I was right there. But the one thing that I did say is that I don't think the Clarity Act is going to pass this year. And if it does, I think it's going to be a butchered version. The reason I say all that is to say that the biggest problem that I think lies in front of us is that you, like a lot of other great tech companies out there, the ones that are doing it right, you're at the mercy of Bitcoin, the overall crypto market, and how the United States in part is responding to everything that's going on.
I think that's brutal in some sense because it is real and the challenge exists there. I also, at the same time, think that crypto, as it was up until maybe last year, is dead. Like trying to just play that game with just the same people in the same way, I think that has no future. We're done with that story. And so the part of actually integrating this technology, bringing it and putting it into the hands of different users or agents, seeing where technology is finally ready to be adopted, and there's demand and there's pressure, and we can uniquely solve this type of problems and bring them into the market. That's the biggest challenge. And that's the biggest challenge of any technology company or any technology startup. And the challenges are real. When someone tells you about the story of maybe investing in Amazon very early on, or investing in Tesla or SpaceX very early on, I think it's very hard for people, doesn't matter how or where they come from, to grasp how difficult it is to survive 20 years until you can finally tell the story of how good you are, how brilliant you were, and so on, after you dodged bullets that were flying near your head. And we can look at Tesla, we can look at SpaceX, we can look at any number of these great companies that in hindsight, NVIDIA, just take NVIDIA and imagine surviving 40 years when this CEO guy had a way of sharing with the people in his company that they have 30 days until they die. That's the money they have. And if they don't ship the next thing, they will die. Just imagine having those type of conversations, and then 40 years down the road, it's incidentally the largest market cap company in the world, and so on. So I think it's extremely, extremely important to both see the upside, indeed, find the right kind of projects with which you really resonate, where you believe you can see the technology flying and working and being adopted, but then also projects that you want to be part of and engage and contribute, because that sets a bit of a different conversation than the one I'm going in, out, I don't really care, and so on. Those are not the type of conversations on top of which you can build that large Amazon or Tesla or SpaceX bet. Now, this may not be for everyone, right? Some people are just short term, they want to get some exposure and so on.
Sure.
That's fine. This is why the market is free and it's open. But I do think that having this type of community that is aligned, that sees something and wants to fight that for that thing to be real, that's something special, and that's what we're trying to build for.
It's you build when it's boring, when it's not exciting, when you're not riding a hype cycle. We know that the opposite to emotion when you're investing your money is probably one of the toughest things to do. I do want to give a quick shout out. We've got about 389 people live on YouTube. I'm sure a whole bunch listening in on, well, actually, it's actually audio, visual on X as well. Want to give a couple shout outs to the Economistic, DB Crypto, as I said, Barely Profit, learned so much from him, Duncan, Super Rare Bears, and EGLD Heist. You know, we truly have a community of passionate people. And so it brings me to the thing, right? We get the positive feedback. We love hearing that. For you, what's the most common negative feedback that you hear from EGLD holders that you believe is absolutely incorrect?
I think maybe the biggest misconception is around how people reason on how foundations, companies, and so on are funded and how they're building, actually. Because it's almost like you want the best technology, you want the best product to be there. But the question is always, so how do I fund this type of product to have it live so that I can capture value, create value, and so on? And one of the things that we've not discussed about, for instance, is we've gone through a very, very another brutal optimization exercise, so that we put the team in an even more leaner condition so that we can move even faster, because we believe that during this year, AI will shift the space so much that every company will be hit hard if they have many employees and large teams and so on. So you need to be very nimble, very lean, and to be able to, at the same time, move very fast so that you don't cut productivity. And so what we've done, and with this I close the loop, is we're probably at the point where we've cut maybe half of the costs again. We last year cut more than half of the costs. And now during the last 3 months or so, we've cut the costs again in half for everything that we're doing. And at the same time, we're accelerating with these things of integrating AI in everything we're doing and so on. So I think the team is extraordinarily aligned, has been, as all people in the community, through crazy difficult pains, just navigating the super strange situations we find ourselves in. But most important, whether it was through storms or good times, we've pushed super hard to deliver what is the most important upgrade since Genesis. That's the thing that I'm excited about now, doing the optimization part, doing the compression of the team, the cuts that are super hard when people are nice and cool, and it's very hard to part ways with some of these cool people. That's the very difficult thing. But the thing that almost there's no other way around, right? It is what it is. Markets are what they are. And the only point that we have is, how do I navigate this to give this network a chance, the best chance possible, from a technical perspective, from a business perspective, from a kind of resource allocation perspective, to make sure that we can punch upward and make real good progress. That's one thing that I think is, when you judge it compared to some of the industry standard, some of the other networks, and see that we have a kind of 20x ratio in terms of performance versus costs that we spend or invest, I think that's not bad, to say the least. I think that's quite good.
I had a couple of people look at the 24 and the 7-day trading chart on EGLD, probably about, and I could be wrong on this, about 11 million per 24 hours, traded. And they said that it's a very healthy chart overall, mid cap. For me, I think what you just said is right. One of the things that people have been correct is sort of is the focus of the core team and the foundation. And there are certain things when you have a business that you're transparent about with the community. And then there's certain things that you might hold closer to the vest. What criticism on the opposite of that from the community do you believe is valid and deserves more transparency from you?
I think one of the things that we've improved a lot was creating some overview with respect to foundation, with respect to companies, that comes every once in a while and gives an overview. So here's where we are, here's what optimizations we've done, here's what the focus has been, and how it pans out to what we actually wanted to achieve. And sharing that I'm not sure if it was quarter or every 2 quarters now. That I think is a good step, and that should be done regardless of how good or bad things are, because it just builds a kind of muscle that needs to be there. I'm sure there's other things, but this is one that comes to mind where we've also made some progress and learned a bit and shared some good progress on.
I think one of the biggest focuses, as you said, for this year is really about the AI integration. So it kind of leads me to this next part of the conversation, which is looking ahead. What do you want the long-term holders of EGLD to understand or appreciate that they might be missing today in the general context? And that's why I kind of brought AI back into our conversation.
So maybe there's 2 ways I would approach this. I would almost make 3 predictions around AI and crypto and how things might look. And one is about almost the difficult path to maybe enlightenment or insight, which is, I think during this year, an extraordinary number of people at first will lose their jobs, get hit by this automation trends, and sort of find themselves in a spot where they're afraid by this new AI bots or chat bots or tools that they should use. And this will feel at first very frightening, and you'll see tens of thousands of people from many, many companies around the world lose their jobs. And what I'm saying is, while this is natural because of the optimizations, because of the productivity gains that you can now have through AI, at the end of the day, once you're in the other next step, the second biggest prediction, so the first prediction is more people than almost any other year will at first lose their jobs, the jobs that they knew before, right? The second part is more people than at any point in time will become builders. Actually, losing the old things that they had, they'll be free to experiment and play with this new AI tools. And they'll be so mind blown of what they themselves can do, whether it's writing or building some apps or testing some things. I think that will be the craziest and strangest things, because it will only accelerate. It won't stop. It won't be similarly fast. In fact, it will feel like sometimes in 2 or 3 weeks, an entire year has happened, and it won't stop. So second, paradoxically, you have more people than ever becoming builders. not writing code, but just working with AIs and agents to build some of the dream ideas, to make some things happen. And that, I think, will be the one of the most exciting thing. And then third, I think longer term, 3, 5, 10 years from now, there will be an extraordinary shock by AI first absorbing almost majority of labor as we know it today, and humans being free and open to reinvent themselves and do actually things that they love and like, and not things that they hate. And why I'm stating this is that I believe AI, as we see it now, will essentially eat the entirety of the software industry.
Yeah.
And then the only things that will continue to exist will be things that are compatible and will augment AI or serve AI for the benefit of humans. And this has direct implications for crypto, because I think crypto will maybe, at least in my view, exist in two forms. One, as the defense, maybe cyberpunk movement, where you have protection, you have decentralization, you have privacy, you have this cryptographic independence and freedom that you can get. And second, as the layer for AI, the substrate through which agents communicate, orchestrate, identify, and the payment rails for that entire space. And I think the latter will be orders, many orders of magnitude larger, and will eventually dwarf the economy that we have right now between human and human interactions largely. So this may sound maybe a bit on the strange side, but I think this year will be absolutely wild.
Approximately 96% of people that have a check, that get a check, it's from labor. It's not from the stock market. It's not from anything else. It's from labor-based jobs. So with that, how can people put themselves ahead of the curve? Well, is there something that you read? Is there video content that you focus on? How can people educate themselves for this AI revolution, as these three predictions that you put forward, which are absolutely brilliant, and I agree with you? What can people do to stay ahead of that curve, especially EGLD holders?
100%. So first of all, I would say, please just start and play and use some of these tools. The worst part is you get hit because for whatever reason, you're not testing, you're not trying to understand a bit the things. Once you understand them, you'll see that it's not as scary. It's not as crazy as it sounds or looks. And just using AI tools will give you a different instrument to play, to make your ideas and dreams a reality. Second, I think what we've built on Multiverse X with EGLD will be the type of technology that exists both as a space where you can have this digital type of freedom, but then also the place where millions and maybe tens of millions of agents will exist, will be able to transact both between themselves, with humans, or just on behalf of humans. So the applications that we'll build all will not only serve humans, but now more than ever, will have this agentic interface that is there just to be able to be compatible with agents. And so the steps that we've taken this last few weeks, but also the steps that we've taken throughout the last 2-3 years, because many of the things that we've been saying almost felt like too much ahead of their time, right? With many of the things that we've been discussing even together and so on, some of the things you've not seen everyone else understand or appreciate and so on. I think right now, the entire economy is sort of reorganizing either for a collapse, like big depth, like explosion, or an AI takeoff. And then everything will happen with AI, serve AI, and then robotics, energy, on all these other things, blockchain itself, are just things that facilitate a better interaction, more effective interaction with this tool. So
it's funny that you say that, because I'm reading Ray Dalio's book, The Changing World Order, and there's six stages. There's 5 different forces, but of the 6 stages, we're in stage 5. Stage 6 is not so good, and then stage 1 comes back to the new world order, as we heard from Weth and the puppeteers. I did a little fun video on that, as the things to look out for. And a little alpha, I think, is when you hear Brian Armstrong speak from Coinbase, being the main hub centralized exchange, doing a lot of really cool things. And the fact is, you can buy EGLD on Coinbase. Not financial advice, please, but just putting it out there. Pretty easy to do, and then send it over to your wallet. You can play it a couple different ways. You mentioned about, America being a hub, and it's such a great place of innovation and entrepreneurship. How do you feel on getting this message out there further? How do we get more people involved? Because I think I was relegated, and I was talking to my friend Matt about it today, and we were saying, if you just look at things through the lens on X, right? Because we go multi-platform. Tonight we're on Twitch, YouTube, and X. And thanks, by the way, we've got a lot more people in here. It's awesome to have you in. I love the comments and engagement. And this is by far an incredible conversation with you and your vision. And really where the focus is AI. How do we get more people, not just involved, but talking about it on other social media platforms? Because I think that's really important to spread that message out there.
I think there's many ways. Let's say TikTok interactions, or other tools like the Multbook social network for agents. There's many tools like this that we can use, we should use, and in fact we've started to use, just to scale the message and play a bit and learn some of these lessons. I also think that some steps will just become obvious as we demonstrate them and bring them in the market. And with Supernova being so close now, we intend to, of course, make some noise. We intend to have some competitions, invite the entire community to have some noise, make some noise, and do some things that are engaging and exciting, and just elevate the conversation and push a bit the boundaries of what's happening. I also think that there's some moments that are naturally attracting people in, and some moments where people want a breath of fresh air and then need to come back. And so I almost feel that right now, from wherever you look at markets, people just don't want to hear about markets. They just want to work a bit in the garden or with agents, or just build some cool stuff, but not hear about the markets. And then whenever things just improve a bit, ideally the best investors, of course, take positions when it's tough. That's the ideal version, but that's very hard, right?
It's funny that you say that, because I was thinking about staking and providing liquidity. And I was thinking about the word oxytocin, right? Great word. You just kind of, this excitement. I got to buy this. I got to do that. If there was ever a time right now in the greed and fear index on CoinMarketCap, I think when I just looked about it before we hopped on, was like 11. And if you're looking just for money, you could probably shoot at the top 10 and you'll be just fine. And again, could it continue to go down? Sure. Not financial advice. All that to be said, I was thinking about one of the things that we were talking about last time, which was VibeOX, right? Low code, no code solution tools for enabling app creation in just minutes. So I'm thinking about, how do people hop on just to the app and they just start to engage with an AI component on there? So for instance, one of the things when I'm creating these short, compelling 1-minute clips, which is really important, and then bi-weekly, I have these conversations with leading people in Web3. I'm blessed enough to do it, and they're honoring me to come on and onto my show. I feel like one of the things that I do is I'll go on to Gronk. I'll grab as much information as I can. I'll then play around with ChatGPT. I'll say, okay, here are my perimeters and lines. Here's how I want to position the question. What do I need to know? How do you see VibeOX being sort of an extension of that? And what does that look like? Because maybe I'm just coming and I'm playing there in my MVX ecosystem, and I'm not needing to use some of the other AI apps.
Yes, I think this will scale and will play a vital role in whatever we're building, because both internally and externally, I think the best of people, and we have some really great people that are working on things, they just become 10x better, 100x better. Once they start using these tools, it's still hard to grasp until you play with them, how fast you can bring some ideas to life, how fast you can put some of this, whether it's writing, video, audio, research, or just building an app. When you do it with your own hands and you see it with your own eyes, something changes in your mind, and then you say, wow, what have I been doing up until this point? I want to play with these technologies. And so this is why I said, for as long as you just discuss, you're one step away. Once you start playing with the tool, then you'll say, what else can I do? What else am I missing? What else can I simply take as an action today? Just as you would do dollar cost averaging. This is a dollar cost averaging equivalent in investing in your learning, investing in exposing yourself and taking some lessons. And the tools that we have on Multiverse X right now, whether it's ViboX or new tools that are just coming live, those are the tools that simplify dramatically the entire building process and make it possible for people, wherever they may be, to just build something and put it out and have fun, even with their friends and so on, perhaps even in schools.
You know, one of the things that I hope to see this year from my end to you, and as I want to see more MVX spaces, audio where there's information provided, a little bit of education, because I think educating the public is really important. I had to do a deep dive a few years ago after I made some wrong turns with my crypto, and it was a humbling experience. We've been humbled. I know you've been humbled at times. You know, there was this major up ramp when COVID happened, and you had the full attention economy and growing like a rocket ship, and you had all this great technology that you were putting out there, and you're sort of at the whims of the market, but you still continue to build. And as I said, when it says building different, you guys really are. You're not following the ethos of just the money today, the short term. You're really building long-term in mind. Do you think that we might see some more spaces this year where there's information, education, and then when you have education, you're more likely to take action because there's this confidence behind you? And I feel it when I'm providing liquidity. I feel it when I'm getting some yield from staking my crypto on my XPortal wallet. It's super simple and easy. Do you think we'll see some more spaces this year?
100%.
Okay.
We have to, we will. And I also want to commend some of the people in the community that have been doing this type of spaces, whether it's DB or just other people in the community that have been doing this. Great work. I think we should do more of it. And I'm also happy that Lucian has done the chat with DB, as you've mentioned. And there's lots more coming, taking it one step at a time and not waiting too much. Just jumping in and doing some conversations. That's the way to go.
And I think one of the coolest things that I got to witness, I think it was a few years ago, was EGLD Heist, when they basically put out their seed phrase and said, come get the money. And just to know that the Guardian is there to protect us. I believe you've got some other mechanisms behind that. There's some other stages in there. You've got the 2FA. It's pretty powerful, and it really overall protects the wallet. And for me, I can go to sleep at night and go, I'm good. And I just stay right within the app, and it's fun. It's easy to use. Super simple. Are there any things from tonight's conversation? We talked about AI. We talked about Supernova. We talked about what the plan is for the future. Is there anything else that we haven't covered in this conversation? Because it's just been an honor to have you on, spend about an hour with you.
I mean, there's certainly many things, but I would say that we've covered the essence of what I think will change everything we're doing. Supernova, I think, both from a business standpoint and a technology standpoint, will just reset everything we are doing. And this is why we're super excited about that. I think putting AI on Supernova in every possible form, as we've done even the last few days, and we've been doing the last 6 to 12 months, will supercharge and take this technology to the limit. I think in the foreseeable future, not very long from now, we'll probably have more agents than humans. Maybe let's put it during the next 5 to 10 years, as wild as it sounds, we'll have more agents than humans performing work for humans, creating value, exchanging value, and so on. And within that environment, having billions and billions of agents, that's the space where you need this type of speed, where you need this type of scalability, where this becomes priceless. And so that's the second part. We'll iterate and explore many different things on this front. And then I think doing the work and not waiting for the right moment or the moment where the sun is bright and everyone is back, just taking your step and learning some lessons every day, playing with AI, doing the dollar cost averaging. Those are the simple things that actually cascade into something that's extraordinary, enables you to learn some lessons, to do it in the right way. And so in addition to all that, I'm sure there's builders out there that look at the AI tools. I would almost encourage everyone to look for Supernova, and then also look for the apps that you'd build for agents, the apps that would serve humans, but would enable the humans to maybe send their assistants, digital assistants, to come in, do some things, earn some money, and so on. So that's, I could go on with XMoney, with XPortal, and so on, but I think pointing out that EGLD will be the currency for AI. Multiverse X with Supernova will be the substrate for AI. And in fact, in different ways, this is what we'll see over and over and over again in different forms. We'll be quite excited as the year unfolds, I would say.
Well, let me just say, it's been incredible to have you on CraigCast. And again, for the second time, truly honored. And more importantly, I like the fact that you guys are truly building different. You're building slow. It's not about a race. Nobody wins by moving fast. And continue to build great tech. Let me continue to spotlight it as I can. When I did my initial post that you were coming on again, I said, let me be clear. I've gotten no grants or anything. Now, if they decided they wanted to, that'd be great. But my focus really is continuing to build and share a great message, because we know what's coming, and we know all the tech that's out there that doesn't work, or there's challenges, and we know the tech that does work smoothly. And before you came on, I have been playing in the XPortal app probably about an hour a day, give or take. Learning as much as I can about the protocol. And I look forward to continuing to support that journey and what you guys are doing. And thank you again for coming on.
Craig, it's been a great pleasure. Big shout out to the community, to the people that are building, to the people that are writing and sharing the message. And very, very much appreciated having the conversation. And maybe this becomes a kind of habit. Every once in a while, we get on and see what the latest and the most exciting things are.
Absolutely. We could do a quarterly catch up on all things MVX. I want to thank the builders, the developers, you and the rest of the core team, all the holders that have that true conviction for long-term success. As you heard it here, EGLD could possibly be the future of AI commerce, and I truly believe that it will. On that note, I want everybody to have an incredible night. Thank you for stepping in here and enjoying your time with me and Benny.
Craig.